poetry called Recalibrations. Monty, good morning. Thank you for being with us. I know we've kind of emailed back and forth over the last a number of months. Poetry isn't your full-time job, correct? No. You work as an EMT?
I work as a part-time EMT, and I'm retired with the Illinois Department of Corrections.
All right, so I don't know that any of this thing would point me towards poetry. You have a very interesting story.
No,
I believe I've had your late wife was on the program.
She was.
A couple of times in her capacity at DPS and also Crossing, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So walk me through this journey. Your wife gets cancer, dies way too young, in 2024, I believe. Is that right?
3.
Yeah, awful. And you pick something up that you haven't really done much with since you were a teenager.
Yes.
Writing.
Yes. I started writing when Shannon was admitted into ICU. I say it was either write or go crazy.
Okay.
And I had to do something. The book is called Recalibrations. It's being published by Finishing Line Press. 2 main themes in the book are love and family, and cancer, grief, and loss.
Yeah. And so I'm sure there's a lot of people that would relate to this, if they're not able to put written word to the page, but they've gone through the same things or experienced the same things in life. What did you find about the writing? What did that help you process to do? How did it start? I mean, did you think, I'm going to, collection of poems and create a book? What was your thought process there?
Right. It's literally started in ICU, and then when she was moved to a regular hospital room, I just could not articulate verbally anything else, so I had to write, and it just kind of grew from there. So that would have been in late May, June. And beginning in October of 24, I had probably 8 poems at that point, and started to put some together, and I thought, I like this, I like the direction where it's going, it's helping me, I want it to help others.
Okay, so that was kind of your driving purpose. You thought, okay, I'm getting something through this, out of this. There's other people in my same situation that might get the same thing.
Yes.
Yeah. That's it. So that made it fulfilling, right?
I think so.
And did you ever think you would be a published?
No. No, I worked with a critic over the winter, 24 and 25.
How hard is that?
And she was wonderful.
Okay.
Is wonderful.
Great.
I was very lucky. I cold emailed her. Just pulled it up. I was extremely lucky. We worked on the arc of the book, honing the poems in, developing the theme a little bit more. And then in February of 25, I submitted it to a chapbook contest for Finishing Line Press, and was selected as one of the ones that would be published. I didn't win the contest, right?
But you were, yeah. I think being published is winning the contest, right? You get it out there. Now, where can people purchase this? I know finishinglinepress.com is the website. People can get this.
It's the website. You can go to their search bars and put in my name, Monty Mittleman, or the title Recalibrations. You can also go to my Instagram, at Monty Mittleman, MontyMittleman, and I'll have a link in my bio and story to the publisher's website.
All right, and then I'm reading these reviews, from other poets and authors. Was that, stunning to you?
It was.
To have, people who have done this professionally feel so strongly about what you've created?
It was. Yeah, I was very surprised. I reached out to my critic afterwards, and I was like,
here's what the critics say.
Are they sure here?
So, people, loss, death, it impacts all of us eventually, but sometimes it's so shocking and so young and so hard to deal with or process those emotions. You found some sort of peace, some sort of solitude through being able to put what you couldn't do verbally put down on paper. Not everyone has that skill set, but there's probably lots of other ways people paint or they do other things to be able to express what they're having a hard time verbalizing. How important was that to you to just get through the process? Not that you ever get through, you're not over, I'm sure, but how did you use it to get through?
I think it was very important. It's not healthy to keep things bottled up, no matter what it is. So it was very important to do that. And as I was moving along in that process, then I began to show those poems to some close family and friends and kind of reflect off that. And
Now, was that an easy thing for you to do?
it wasn't as hard as I thought it was going to be.
Okay.
And they were close family.
Because you're sharing, this is raw. This is, you.
Yeah, you are. And, but it was also part of the therapeutic process, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, at least it was for me.
So you're kind of like just looking for a light switch, in some ways, and then finding it, and then be able to share it. How big a deal is that for you to be able to share it with other people that might find solace or some way of coping with the awful thing that you went through?
It is a big deal. Being a caregiver is a hard road. There's a lot involved, and things will sneak up on you.
Yeah.
When it comes to cancer, I mean, you just can't. There's a lot of unexpected, and it's difficult to manage. So I think it's important to read about other people's experiences and, see if you can relate with anything, and maybe somebody will read something that will click for them they didn't even think about.
Yeah, that's great stuff. Nick Smith is back in MCR. If you don't know if you have any questions for Monty or not, but I think it's powerful when people can turn grief and loss into something that other people might find useful and helpful. It's an amazing thing.
Yeah, I'm just wondering, did you ever have a moment, maybe in the early stages, where you had a thought, and you were talking about having an issue of, kind of articulating how you were feeling, but did you have a thought where you thought something, wrote something down, said something that broke through for you, where you're like, man, that actually hits. That's what I need right now. Did you have one of those moments or several of those moments?
I did. There's a poem in the book, titled Coma, when she actually went into the coma, and that was one of those moments that really kind of broke through for me. That was difficult to even not only articulate, but to write about. So that was one of those moments.
Yeah, and I'm assuming, being able to write about it, as tough as that is, it is a release, right? I mean, and the things that you could just keep inside, have a hard time articulating, having a conversation with someone, at that point you can't speak to her, putting that on paper, that must have been ultimately a release of some of that you probably wouldn't want to hold in forever.
Well, I like to think that part of the book is also a last love letter to her. We were together for 30 years.
That's fantastic. She had such a vibrant life, right?
She did. She was involved in crossing. She was involved in DPS. She worked for ISU, trying to recruit student teachers to stay in the Decatur area. Both of our kids graduated from MacArthur. They're doing very well right now. So she was heavily involved in the city.
I look at all the different things you and your family have been involved in. It's all the great programs and Taekwondo to leading, to everything.
Yeah, this city's chock full of stuff.
Yeah, well, your wife was a big part of that. I applaud you. To be able to do this and come in and talk about it, because I know that your motivation is this helped me. I think maybe it can help others, which I think is so pure. I would highly encourage people to pick it up, and then they can get you on Instagram as well if they're interested.
Instagram at Monty Mittleman, Facebook, and of course the publisher's website.
Okay, and that is, once again, the publisher is
Finishing Line Press,
finishinglinepress.com. You can order it literally. What's the cost?
$15.99. The pre-sales go between now and June 12th.
Okay.
The book release is not scheduled for the week of August 7th.
Okay, so we still have some time.
We have lots of time.
Well, listen, you're welcome to come back when we get a little closer to that to remind people that it's available. I mean, I know you can pre-order it, but just shoot me an email, and towards in the summer, we get you back in when it's going to be ready to go. Thank you for sharing today. I really appreciate it. Thank you for what you're doing and thinking about other people going through the same thing that you went through, and hopefully giving them some tools and some ways to process what's impossible to process.
I hope so.
All right, Monty, we appreciate you. Thank you very much.